Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Connie's Creative Creations, and of course I am Connie. And if you are new, welcome to my channel. I hope you hit that subscribe button, give me a big old thumbs up, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every single time I upload a video. Now if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I am so glad. Alright, this is my challenge that I am the co-host with Zana, and it's What Would You Make? And we will get to all the information on that in just a moment. So let's get right into the first project. Okay, first of all, I've got 4 shims. And if you don't know what shims are, I got it from Sutherland's. I got a great big giant pack for like $1.99 or $2.99. Really great price. Well, they are fatter on one end and thinner on the other, so that you can shove them into something and it shims them up, so that, like when you're doing woodworking, like putting a door in or whatever, it levels it out. It helps it, and that's what they use. They use shims. So I had to get it level, I had to put 2 together for each board. So I don't mind doing that because they're such a low price for so many. It didn't bother me doing that at all. So that's why I went ahead and did 4, and I'm doing 2 together. So I sanded them a little bit, and then I put wood glue in the center, and I'm using hot glue on the outside, and then I'm going to sandwich them together so it's like it's one piece of wood. Now of course a lot of times I will use stir sticks. I was out of stir sticks and I have these, so that's what I'm using. Now these are these little mason jars. They're chunkies from WoodPecker Craft, or WoodPecker Wood Crafts, and I am an affiliate with them. I will have my link down in the description. If you click on that link and you purchase anything, you will get a discount. So it depends on what you buy and how big of a discount that you will have. So I went ahead, and you saw me, I put some popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree, the large ones. I cut them and I hooked it together so it kind of looks like a picket fence, sort of, but not really. So I'm using my Waverly's Antique Wax, and I am completely coating it using a paper towel and wiping off the excess. This wood is beautiful wood, even though it shims, and it was very rough and I had to sand it. No big deal. It is beautiful wood. I love the grain in it. So here I am just wiping that all off. Then I'm going to set it aside to dry after I do all of the edging, and then I'm going to grab those little mason jars. Now I got 4 of them. Now one of them I had ordered and 3 got sent to me. Now they don't just send you stuff like, say I'm a Plaid ambassador. They don't just send like they do them, but they will send, occasionally they will send you a gift, and that's what it was. It was a gift. So I was glad to get it, because I couldn't have done the project I'm doing if I had only had 1. So I'm going to line these up, and then I'm going to start actually, I don't line them up yet. I just do an antique wax on the fronts and all the edges. I do not do the back because I need to glue it. And I'd already made a mistake by putting the antique wax already on that, the shims. So I didn't want to do antique wax against antique wax for sure. And I don't use wood glue because it's not raw wood against raw wood. So here I am wiping the last one off, and then I've got to do the edging on this one. I've already done the edging on the others. And it's just very easy. You just brush it on, wipe it off, and it's done. So all 3 of my projects is going to have WoodPecker woods in them. Of course the shims and all that are not, but the mason jars are. And I'll tell you as we go which ones are. But this collaboration is the What Would You Make? So WOOD, wood. So everything you make is out of wood. So now I'm going to take my sheepskin from Waverly. I'm going to use a chippy brush, and I am dry brushing that on the picket fence, or whatever it's called. We'll call it a fence, because it's really not a picket fence. And I'm just using that, just light-handed, and I just go over it and over it and over it until I get it exactly the way I want it. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the mason jars. I didn't want them just to be one color, and the woods on these two things are totally different, so this kind of meshes them together. So I'm just putting it on, dry brushing it on each one, and I wanted the mason jars to be a little bit more heavy-handed than the other part, just because that's what I chose to do. You're not going to see the other part that much. In hindsight, I really didn't need to do so much. Hey, but it's done, and I'm not going back to change it. So just going ahead and I'm getting these all done. It's very simple. Like I said, I started light, then I kept going until I got it exactly the way I wanted it. Then I looked back, and a few of them were not exactly. I wanted a little bit more here, there, wherever, and so I added it. And this brush that I'm using is actually a stipple brush. So, but it's rounded at the end, and it's more like a chibi brush. Okay, now these letters, I'm not sure. I think actually these letters came from the Dollar General, and luckily I had an F, an A, and 2 L's. So I am just hooking these on here. I'm using a ruler so I can get it straight. Now that F is too far over. I go back and I move it. So I'm just kind of measuring it, making sure that all these letters are in. Now my fingers wasn't working, so I grabbed my Cricut tool and I used it to lower the letters onto it, and that worked much better. So once I get these done, then I'm going to start embellishing all of these mason jars, and this is going to be standing up. So you'll see in a few minutes that I'm going to use tumbling towers blocks on the back side, so that they will you'll hold it up, because if not it would just fall forward, because of the mason jars are chunkies, and so they're heavy. Now it's not solid wood, it's kind of like nice, well sanded, really expensive, well, the type of plywood that you would buy at the big box store. And you can see the layers of the wood where they glued them together. And they use, I think they use, I can guess they use wood glue. I don't know for sure, but it doesn't come apart very easily. So here I am, I'm just taking some jute twine, and I am tying it around, and I'm leaving the tails on right now because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the tails, but I end up cutting the tails off of the mason jars just because I am going to embellish with something else, and I don't want those in the way. So once I get these all 4 done, then that is what I'm going to do. So these end up, I just love this project. It ends up so cute, and I can't wait for the next coming videos that I'm going to be doing using WoodPecker craft woods. Also, I was just signed a contract with Sola Wood Flowers, and so be looking for 3 videos starting this coming week. I'll have 1 video a week with those Sola Wood Flowers. So yeah, you definitely want to be looking forward to that. So here I am just using wood glue and the hot glue to put these tumbling towers. I just put 4 together. That was chunky enough, heavy enough, it would hold them back. Okay, now this is when I decided I'm just going to trim those off, because I decided I didn't want them. Now I have those leaves sitting there. I don't use those. But I'm taking this buffalo check orange and white ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I am just tying little knots, and I'm doing dovetails. Of course, if you just noticed that first cut was not a dovetail, it was the opposite. So I'm paying a little bit more attention, and I get all dovetails, and it's just going to be those little ties. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those on, and then I got those little orange flowers from a pick from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just putting 1 little flower on each one, and then we're going to hook these onto the shims, and then we're going to call this project finished, and we will move on to the information on the What Would You make collaboration as well as onto the next project. But here I am, I trim off the back side of that little flower because it sticks out too far, but I had to leave it in there because it's the other side that's the center. So, but it's okay because once you glue that all in there, it's completely secure and it doesn't come apart. So now this, because I had I was trying to figure out how to do it, and because of the tumbling towers, I just grabbed the packaged tumbling towers and held it up. And so here I am just making sure that these are all set and spaced properly so that I could go ahead and glue them. And of course I glue them with just hot glue. I'm just putting a great big mound of glue on each one and sticking it on there, making sure that the bottom is even with the bottom of the shim or the shims so that it will stand up without falling forward or backward. And there is a finished project. Now the challenge, what would you make? Zana from OK at Home is the other host, and our guest host this month is Theresa from Theresa B DIY. So make sure you go down to the description box. All of our video or our channel links will be down there, as well as the playlist. You're going to want to go check out that playlist because there's some absolutely amazing crafters. So let's get right back into the second project. Now this is a piece of wood that I got thrifted to me. Someone was going to throw it away and they gave them to me, and it's really nice wood. I did have to do a tiny bit of sanding, but I had this apple. Now the apple is from WoodPecker Crafts, so I'm just checking to see if what I want to do is going to work. Now this wood colors is totally different. This piece of wood was stained. No, actually this was not stained, but the color of wood was completely different than what I wanted, so I completely painted that with the Waverly's sheepskin, and I put 2 coats on there. Now I am painting this apple. So I'm using apple barrel paints. The first one was just apple barrels brown, and then I'm using 2 green ones. One is an apple barrel, just apple barrel true green, and then Folk Arts Pimento, and that is for the leaf. Then I take the apple barrel's bright red, the Folk Arts orange, it's a bright orange, and then Folk Arts golden, it's like a golden red or a sun. It's like a yellow, but it's got an orange tint to it because I want to highlight this apple. To me, apples are not flat red. You're not going to find an apple that is just pure flat red, like bright red. Even like red ones, like Red Delicious is a dark red, but it's not completely red because you're always going to see highlights. So what I do is I paint the apple completely the bright red. Then I use the yellow and the orange and the another stipple brush, and I am going to dry brush those colors on, and it just makes that thing pop like 3D. It's beautiful. I love painting and I love making things just look amazing. So here I am, just I'm going to go ahead and I'm doing the orange and the yellow. I just have it on my palette sitting next to each other. So I'm just going ahead and making this apple look real. And then we're going to get to the next part, which is I'm going to glue it in the place that you saw me holding it before, because that's where I wanted it to sit, because I cut out a saying on my Cricut and I designed it to fit with that apple where I had it. So I'm just, like you said, you can see this apple is just coming to life. And then as you see, I just glued that on with hot glue, and now I am weeding the words that I made. Now this is not so much of a fall saying, it's just a saying that I think is a cute saying, especially when it comes to an apple. And yes, apples are from harvest. This is when they are harvested, but I liked this saying, so I just did it this way. And it just says, "You're the," and then "apple of my eye." and I just like the same. So once I get this all on there, then I'm going to go ahead and put a jute holder on the back so that I can hang this up. So, and this, it weeded so well. I had no issues, and my transfer tape is really old. I've used it well, not hundreds. I've used it like at least 30 to 50 times, and it still sticks the way I want it to stick. So I'm going to use it till it stops doing what I want it. So here I am placing the word apple, and I'm just pulling that off to make sure that nothing stays, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do the next section and then the next section. And as you can see, apple is in cursive and so is I, but the rest of it is not in cursive. So I'm just doing using the transfer tape, and I'm just putting this on here and just gonna pull it up, and when it started to not come off, then I just burnish it a little bit more, and then it would just stick right on there. So once this is done, we'll move on to the next one. And as you see, I am putting that holder on. Now I tied it in a knot, 2 knots on top of each other, and then I'm going to use hot glue, and I am going to glue this on. Then I always use a little bit of felt, and I put a bunch of glue on there and put the felt on, and felt just kind of like meshes with the wood, and it ends up, I've never had anything pull off, ever. So it works. So once this is done, which it's almost done, then we're going to call this project finished. I hope you guys like both of these projects, and I hope you guys end up liking the last one, because I only did 3. So here it is. I hope you love it. Now let's get right to this third one. Now with this, I'm not sure what they call this. I don't know if it's a sun or if it's a sunflower, but you'll see what I end up doing. So if you can tell, I took an oatmeal box, I put it right in the center and drew a line around it, because I didn't want this to be all, I knew it really wasn't a daisy, it was more of a sun, but I don't make it into a sun. You'll see that. So I'm doing the same yellow and the same that I used on the apple, and I'm just painting the whole outside, being careful not to go into the center. And I cannot remember, it's a bright yellow of some sorts, and it's from Folk Art. It's multi-surface, and I am just painting this right into here. And then once this is done, I'm going to move on to the next section, and I do the edging as well. I get that all painted so that it is perfectly painted, and I don't worry about the back. I'm going to be putting a hanger on it. This is going to be against the wall. If I was going to be selling it, I would definitely do something different, but I'm not selling it. This is for my house, so I'm not going to. So here I am just doing the edging, and then we're going to move on to the next section. Now, I've used the stipple brush again, and I'm using that orange that I used before, and I'm just dry brushing that orange on each one of the little spikes, or not spikes, but edges on this like sun. And I'm not doing it too heavy, but I'm making sure that you can see that it's not just that bright yellow. I really ended up liking this. But once this is done, then I'm going to grab Apple Barrels brown, and I am painting the whole inside of this that brown color. That's what kind of makes it look like a flower, but it's not really a flower. It's not a sun, but it is. I mean, it's, yeah, whatever. It's my interpretation, and it's what I wanted to do. I did not see this anywhere. In fact, none of these projects did I see anywhere. This is stuff that I made up, other than well, I did see something sort of like the first one, but they used real jars, and they used flowers, and so it's not the same. I might have been inspired a little bit, but that was about it. I ended up putting 2 coats of this brown on this, just because the first one you could still see through it. And then I take that same sheepskin and I'm going to dry brush that whole thing. Now, I did put a little bit too much on that little spot. I do end up going back and putting some brown back on it, but I went really heavy-handed on this because I really wanted it to not so much look like a flower. But once I get this done, then I take a small brush and Apple Barrel's black paint, and I am writing "Happy Fall, y'all." I thought that was a cute saying for fall, so I'm just going ahead and I am using just my paintbrush. So in this video, the first one I used stickers for my letters, the second one I used Cricut, and the third one I'm hand painting. You can also do like a Sharpie, a marker. So I don't always use my Cricut. I love my Cricut, but I don't always use it because sometimes I just want to paint. And the stickers, I only did that one because I had them. I got those before I got my Cricut about a little over a year and a half ago. So that's why I went ahead and did it. Now, when I finish this black, I'm not happy with it, but I wasn't going to paint over it. So what I do is I grab my Apple Barrel white and I outline the whole thing, and it just finishes it and makes it look sharp. And then I'm going to use the white and do a little bit of detailing, and then I'm going to put a jute hanger on it, and then I'm going to call this project finished. And I wanted to tell you, while we're watching me do this, a little bit about my channel. I do crafts, I do DIYs, I do thrift makeovers, like trash to treasure. I do woodworking. I do all kinds of different things. Now, on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, I go live on my channel here. And I try to have a guest. I don't always have a guest. As well as Sarah from Can Sarah DIY It. She comes on my video or my lives sometimes, and I go on to hers. Hers is at 8 o'clock. And we have dubbed this TGIT. Thank God it's Tuesday. So if you are interested in that, we have a lot of fun. We laugh, we sing, we do crafts, we do all kinds of things. So you'll definitely want to check out my live at 2 o'clock or 7 o'clock on Tuesday. And it's almost every single Tuesday. There's been a few times if I'm out of town I can't do it. So as you can see how I'm using the white on these letters, and it ends up looking extremely sharp. And then I'm going to do a little bit of detail around the I'm going to put a white line around the brown, and I'm going to do a little bit of dashes around the outside of the flower, if you want to call it a flower, and then I'm going to put a hanger on it, and this project will be done. So let's get to this. Also, to let you know, I am over on Instagram. I love to hear from you all. Please don't just, you can say hi to me. If you guys do some really cool projects, or you're doing projects and you'd like me to see them, send me a picture and I will put them on videos, and I will share who did it, and that way you can start getting your name out there, or just you can share what you are doing, because I love sharing my stuff, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that would love for me to share your stuff with them, with everybody. So in it over there, it's just, you do Connie's Creative Creations, and you don't even have to spell the whole thing, and it should show up. If not, my link is in the About section of my channel. Also, I hope you enjoy all of these. You guys have the most blessed day. Don't forget to call somebody and tell them you love them. It might be exactly what they need to hear today. And you guys, don't forget to be the Bible that somebody reads today. Bye.